everybody. It's Captain Dennis. I'm here with Captain Ralph Talon with the halftime out of Hampton Bays, right?
Shinnecock Inlet, yep.
Shinnecock Inlet. And he's here talking to us. He's our second dive boat captain that we're talking about on a series called Meet the Captains. We're kind of trying to get people basically a virtual meeting with the captains and, learn a little bit about their operations. So welcome, Captain Ralph. If you could tell us a little bit about yourself, how long you've been doing your charter operations, diving, and all your background, a little bit about your vessel, it'd be great.
All right. Let's see. Let's start with how long I've been diving. I got certified in 1974 when I was 14. I used to drift dive in Montauk with my dad as a kid for lobsters. And then I didn't dive for a while after that. And I met Andrea, my wife, and one of my crewmen. And I got back into it about 13 years ago. So I had a fishing charter business at the time, 2004, 2006, and met Andrea. She was an avid diver, tech diver, dive master, and got back into the sport. And because I was hanging out with her, I moved quite quickly into doubles. And I'm a rebreather diver now. I dive a Meg, which I've been diving probably for 8 years. So,
and what can you tell us about the halftime itself?
The halftime, this is the second halftime.
Okay.
The first halftime was a 25-footer.
Okay.
Somewhat similar to your boat.
Okay.
And it was only a 4-pack. So 5 years ago, I sold that and I bought a Down East hull, 31-foot BHM, which is now a 6-pack. So I take 6 divers and 1 or 2 crew on a trip.
Nice. And if you could tell us a little bit about the area that you service and some of the wrecks and different sites that you can provide people by bringing them to.
Right. So some local dive shops, there's not that many, but they use me for checkout dives for students, which we are really student friendly, instructor friendly, beginner friendly.
Okay.
So the most shallow wreck I have is in 55 feet. It's a ocean tugboat that's sunk in the late 1900s in a storm. Okay. So that has a lot of fish and it's not very deep and you can dive it with a single.
And what are like the conditions, that I mean, obviously it's the Northeast. If you don't like the weather, wait a minute. But, what could somebody expect on the South Shore?
It, just like some of the other dive boats, it depends. You have dive boats that will go in anything, and then you have dive boats that don't. Right. And I'm one of the ones that don't. We make the call usually the night before. I'm one of the only ones that doesn't bring everybody down to the boat if it's that iffy. I'm pretty good at judgment of the weather. Right. I have a lot of computer apps that give me insight into what the next day is going to be. So we can pretty much make the call and know what's going to happen the night before. So it's usually at 5 o'clock the night before I make the call, and then I save everybody the drive and we just rebook. Right.
Now, if someone was going to go dive on the South Shore in regards to the conditions for the water, I mean, ballpark temperatures throughout the time of the year, obviously I'm thinking you guys are in the summer, I mean, how warm do you think the water gets, or any kind of challenges with currents and things like that?
Oh, current really isn't a factor like at Montauk, but temperature is. So the shallower wrecks, we have an artificial reef right outside the inlet that's 85 feet deep, has quite a few pieces on it that we dive. Sunk draggers, personnel carriers from World War II, some other stuff. So that's a good training place for people that are open water and working on their advanced open water or are advanced open water, but don't have a lot of dives at depth under their belt, because you're usually, tying in at 55 feet at the the top side of the piece, and then the sand's at 85.
Okay. So, and you also do some of the more deeper wrecks out, like you do things like the Oregon and things like that, correct?
Right. So the 2 premier wrecks I have are both 25 miles from here. So if you go straight south, it's the Coimbra, which is a oil freighter that was sunk in World War II. So that's deep. That's 185. Like the other captains, anything for me, I won't take anybody over 150 if they don't have trimix.
Okay.
I mean, the days of diving, deep dives on air are over. You know, it's just too dangerous. So the Oregon, though, is at 130, 126 to the sand. So that's the very top limit of advanced open water. So we can really go there with quite a few different skill levels on the boat.
Okay. And since you were discussing the deeper stuff, what are your policies? What are things that you require for people to partake on your boat? Obviously sea cards, I'm sure there's a waiver, things like that, any kind of supplemental insurance. I know some people like to have Dan insurance with their charter attendees, I guess you could say.
Yeah, well, Dan I highly recommend everybody get Dan, from, snorkeler all the way up to, I don't care how deep you want to go, because all of our releases that the dive boat captains have release the captain and the crew from responsibility once you leave the boat.
Right.
So it's up to the diver to be protected while they're in the water. And everybody has that. And if they don't have it, they usually get it right away. You would talk to somebody on the boat and everybody would highly recommend you get that. It's so affordable and it covers the cost in case there was an accident. On the boat, I'm covered with, $1 million liability that if you slip on the boat or whatever. So
slips, tips, and trips. So couple other things, ballpark. I mean, what is the normal cost? I mean, do you have it set up where people can walk on? Do you take solo people? Do you have it where it's organized through you independently, or if it's organized through dive shops? I mean, dive shops, I would imagine, can kind of charter the whole boat, things like that.
Yeah, I'm a little different. I'm kind of leading a new wave of, let's call it, whole boat chartering, sort of like a fishing charter, not a party boat. So a party boat, you show up, you get your spot, and you pay your one fee, and you don't know everybody else. I've switched over. This will be my second year. Last year was the first year of whole boat chartering. So you can't just show up. And if you're a single diver, I would have to talk to the clients who have the boat already, see if they have room for you.
Right.
Now, the other side of that is I have a lot of individual divers, not a lot, but I have quite a few clients who aren't in a dive club and don't have a lot of friends. They just dive by themselves, or they go with one or two people. So what we do is we try to, make a trip. So let's say you wanted to come on my boat.
Mm-hmm.
You would charter the whole boat, and then I would help you fill the boat.
Okay.
That's how that works. The prices range from the shallowest. It depends on how far we go.
Right.
The fuel factor.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then there's also a danger factor. So it starts at about $110 and it goes up from there.
Okay. And what would you say to somebody who's kind of apprehensive about going out in the ocean on a boat, doing the whole boat diving thing? I know there's a lot of people who are really comfortable with shore diving, and they might just have some, somebody may have gone on a boat and had a bad experience one time, and that's kind of galvanized in their head. So what would you say to somebody who's kind of on the fence about kind of getting into an intermediate boat dive?
I think that's our wheelhouse. I'm not to, I'm not arrogant, but that is our wheelhouse. We try to make the beginners feel very comfortable. All the feedback, you can ask around. Everybody, captains all have and their boats all have your reputations of what it's like to go on their boat. Some captains are crabby, some captains yell a lot, some captains are this or that. Our boat.
I don't yell at all.
No, you're a client. Yeah. Well, I don't know. I never chartered your boat. I'm ready. But so what happens is usually there's a good vibe of beginners where we we really help them through the whole process. So I have a great crew: Andrea, Elliot, Ben. I got a couple of new guys, Jeff and Dylan. They're all competent as far as doing their crew stuff, but they're also very competent in helping.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and I got Wally too, so I left out Wally. Sorry. So we have a competent crew. I don't do as many technical drives as some of the other boats, just because a lot of technical people. I have Sea Gypsies and Gotham Divers. You know, they'll do a few trips with me each year, but it's so far for them that it's only a few trips per year. So my base of my clients are that single tank working into doubles.
Yep.
You know,
That's great. And the best way to contact you, is it through the website, through email? If somebody was interested.
Yeah, usually start out with an email, and then if we move forward, I give my number. But I give my number. It's 631-921-5181.
Okay. And anything else you'd like to, say to everybody out there in the dive community? Anything, makes you, I mean, obviously you've kind of touched on a few things in regards to what makes you different. And I've been on the Halftime, and I think it's a great boat. And I think you're an even keeled captain. It's great to be on a boat where it's enjoyable. You don't really feel like you're walking on needles and pins. I haven't had that experience with you guys. So I've been on the boat. I plan on being out there again, provided what's going on out there. But we'll be back and we'll do some more stuff. I'd like to get on the Panther. You go to the Panther, right?
Panther's a little tug, but the good news is I'm in the middle of putting in a larger engine in my boat. Mm-hmm. So that was a big gripe about my boat. It's comfortable, but it's slow. And now we're not going to be slow. So we can get to the Oregon in less than 2 hours. We can get to the Coimbra in less than 2 hours, where it used to take 3.5 hours. So that's a big deal. That's going to change there's a lot less boat time and a lot more dive time.
Right.
And, we should really talk about, since I'm the whole boat thing, it's kind of the different animal at the zoo. So, I don't take 12 people. I only take 6. Some groups only bring 3 or 4. It depends, because they take the whole boat.
Right.
So it's not really a cost per person thing. It's a cost for the boat. And then it works out where, some people don't want a crowded boat with 6 people. Not that it's that crowded, but when you have 3 or 4, it's almost like luxurious.
Now, the other thing is, if they get the whole boat, can't they tweak the departure times a little bit?
Yeah, I am also one of the only boats that does that. For the far stuff, we stick at a 6 a.m. Though I could change that. Anything's changeable. But the closer stuff, especially the reef, is only a 15-minute, ride. So, I've been catering over the past 3 or 4 years to a clientele that comes from quite a distance. So they don't want to get up at 2 o'clock in the morning and leave Manhattan. Or I have New Jersey divers too, because there's a lot of divers want to try a lot of different wrecks.
Right.
It's almost like sightseeing. They want to, see different stuff. They don't want to go to the same wreck every single week, because they want the variety. So I do tweak the times. 7, 8, 9, even 10 o'clock in the morning. And I've gotten a lot of positive feedback and requests for that.
That's great.
If the wreck is close.
Right, absolutely. And anything else you wanted to say in closing, or?
I have a great crew. They're not here right now, but you could meet them on the boat. The crew shot on my website is just a fill-in photograph until I get all these guys together and take one. Mm-hmm. So anybody who wants to make a critique on that, I think you put it up. It's just random divers I don't even know. Their pictures are on there, but the crew shot is not them. Right. So that will be updated. The website's good. You can call me, text me. Like I said, I'm good with the weather. It's really easy to get to the boat. Taking Sunrise Highway, you just get off it, you go over the canal, Shinnecock Canal, and then you just get off at exit 66, and the marina's right there. It's within a quarter mile.
Awesome. Well, quick. I'd like to thank you for partaking in our campaign to promote charter boats. And I'll be seeing you soon, and I'm sure a couple other people will probably start reaching out to you.
Yeah, and thanks for doing this. I think the general public, this is really a good idea and a good service for them to get a nice background on what's going on, especially if they're just getting into diving or the guys that really don't know where everything is. It's going to be a nice setup. It's good.
Absolutely. All right, thanks. We'll talk to you soon, Cap.
All right. Take
Bye-bye.
care.